Welcome to the SNN Network Canada virtual event. I'd like to introduce our next presenter, Brian Pedlar, CEO of Covalon Technologies. Brian, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Welcome and good afternoon. Thanks for joining me for this presentation. I'm very, very excited to talk about Covalon and tell you our story and hopefully give you a little bit more insight into our business and where we are today. We are an innovation-driven medical products company. We have an extremely strong portfolio of patented dressings and technology that at the very basic make it easier for healthcare providers to protect patients from infection and help those patients heal. And it doesn't matter whether those patients are suffering from a chronic wound, recovering from a surgery, or undergoing a treatment that requires a vascular insertion. Both clinician and patients will benefit from our products and technologies because they're really designed to help reduce the complications that happen during those treatments. We were founded in 1999. We're headquartered just outside of Toronto, and our products are designed to really take market share from market leaders like 3M and others. And we also develop technology and products for medical, large medical companies through our medical coatings business. We sell directly through third-party distribution networks in the United States and internationally. And we also have third-party manufacturers, but we also make some products ourselves. On the right-hand side of the slide, I just like to point out a couple things. One is we're a relatively tightly held organization. We have about 55% of the shares are owned by insiders who are on the board. And we have about 40% of our market cap right now in cash at about pretty close to $1 per share. So that's a very nice and comfortable position for us to be in. Hospital-acquired infections. Look, I was just at a funeral the other week, I think it was 2 weeks ago, for one of my friends whose father died from a hospital-acquired infection that he got when he went in for a surgery. And it's a devastating thing, but it happens way more frequently than we could ever imagine. There's almost 2 million people a year get a hospital-acquired infection in the U.S. And the sad part is that 70% of those infections are preventable. And we have some incredible products that are targeted at just that, helping to prevent those infections. To give you some idea, in the United States, there's $9.8 billion each year spent by hospitals. They're uninsured for these kinds of infections to treat these infections. So there's a massive economic incentive for organizations, hospitals, long-term care facilities in the U.S. to try to prevent these infections. If you take the cost of various infections, and the main ones we focus on are central line and surgical site infections on the left-hand side, you'll see central line bloodstream infections, $45,000 per infection. That's the cost. Surgical site infections, $20,000. You multiply those by the number of infections per year, and you get the pie chart on the right. So bloodstream infections, $1.9 billion are spent every year in the U.S., $3.3 billion for surgical site infections. And because of COVID and the focus on COVID and just the pressure it's put on the system in the United States, the latest CDC numbers say that those bloodstream infections have actually gone up 50% in the last reporting period that they've had, which is devastating. So if that runs for a full year, add another $1 billion to that $1.9 billion. Another area that our products target are chronic wounds, and it is truly a silent epidemic. When you think about 1 in 4 families have a family member who has a chronic wound. Right now, today in the United States, 200 people will have an amputation of a foot or part of their leg because of a diabetic foot ulcer. And that happens every day. It is truly an epidemic. And the costs associated with this to the healthcare system are huge. And the market for products to help heal these wounds is also large. And we play in the green and in the blue areas, the advanced wound dressings and the biologics. So we're in big markets. Just some highlights about our business. We are well funded, and we're backed by some very successful major investors who sit on the board. And we are very well positioned to grow in the United States. We just sold one of our product lines. It's our lowest intellectual property product line for $24 million in cash, so we have no debt. Sorry, we sold it for $38 million. We have $24 million on the balance sheet. We have deep intellectual property. Our products solve real clinical problems that clinicians face every day, and that the competitive products do not solve. And the infection prevention markets and the wound care markets we play in are absolutely huge. A little more detail. I won't go into all the details on the sale of our AquaGuard product line, but I would like to point out that it was closed on July of 28th of this year. We took the opportunity to pay off all our debt and retain the $25 million in cash. I think it was a really good opportunity for us. We bought the business where we got the AquaGuard product back in 2018. And we sold it for 3 times what we paid for it. So from Covalon's perspective, very good opportunity. We do have a strong track record of revenue growth, but there's a lot of story behind the revenue growth that we've had. In our development phase, that's when we were getting our products ready for market, entering the market, seeding the market, building our distribution channels. We got some early wins in the Middle East, where we did really well competing with 3M and took significant market share. And since 2018, we've been focusing our business and growing our business and transitioning it to more U.S.-based revenue. And I think we're in a really good position to continue to grow that business as we go forward. We've also, like a lot of companies who've gone through COVID, we've spent the last couple of years focused on really cost reduction in our operating expenses. We have been able to really reduce those operational expenses through personnel, sales agency fees. We did benefit from government subsidies, but we've also able to really massively reduce travel, which has been positive for us. And we've got cash and we have absolutely no debt. Now, as we look at our platforms of technology that take on the infection prevention and wound care side of our businesses, it really falls into product revenue and development and licensing revenue. And under the product revenue, we have 2 platforms. We have our biological collagen matrix and the companion advanced wound care dressings that go along with that. We have an antimicrobial silicone adhesive platform, which, again, we're the only company in the market I'm aware of that has antimicrobial silicone adhesive dressings for vascular access and surgical uses. And then on the medical coatings and surface sanitizer side, that's where we largely work with large medical companies and some smaller medical companies to take their existing products and turn them into antimicrobial products. We definitely have competitive advantages. The good and the bad is that we're up against some really big players. 3M, Medline, Johnson & Johnson, Convatec, those are household names in the wound care and vascular access and surgical space. But our products actually have some really strong advantages that allow us to compete, and we've shown able to win market share. Also in the medical coating side, there are lots of medical coating technologies on the market, some that work really well for certain things, some that work really well for other things. And in our niche, we have an incredible technology portfolio there that I think is just at its infancy in really being able to contribute to our financial success as a company. If I look at these three platforms, the one that's probably most mature is our Colactive, our wound care, with our second would be our IV Clear, Mediclear, SurgiClear, and then finally our medical coating technology. As I look at our advanced wound care portfolio, we just released a new product, which is a Colactive powder, which is based upon this platform. It's one of the great advantages we have is we're able to iterate on and launch new products a lot faster because it is a very robust platform that we start with. We also have a full portfolio of what I'll call companion products that go along with our biologics, our collagen dressings. So whenever you use one of our flagship collagen dressings, one of these other dressings is used on a patient as well. And so it's a very complementary platform of products. So as I mentioned, we compete in the U.S. against the big players, 3M and Medline. We have some distinct advantages compared to these two products, and we sell into the U.S. through some pretty strong distribution channels today, with the opportunity to grow those channels over time. So we have organizations like McKesson and Smith & Nephew who are very large players in our space that distribute our products. Our brand name really does carry a strong reputation in the market, and we're in the top three players for quality dressings in this market. But we are a long way behind the two giants. So there's lots of market share opportunity for us to grow. We also have, because of the nature of our intellectual property, we have the ability, as I mentioned, to iterate with new products and also to improve our margins through scaling manufacturing that I don't think are available to the other suppliers in the market. This is a bit gruesome, but this is the real life of where our products actually can make a difference with patients. The top is a typical diabetic foot ulcer that after undergoing a lot of other treatments that didn't seem to be working, they tried our product, and after 5 weeks it was healed. And the bottom pictures are someone who had been undergoing a lot of various product treatments for several years, and this diabetic foot ulcer was at the point where they were actually scheduled for an amputation. After using our product, after 6 months, the foot was saved and the wound was healed, which is a great thing when you consider the alternative of having a foot or partial leg amputation. Our wound care platform, I think, is very well positioned to continue some substantial growth over the medium and long term. So in the United States, we have a pretty good platform, a good distribution network. We have a lot of clinical case studies. Our product is well known, and we have a pretty established business in the U.S. that has lots of room for growing. We've got opportunities in the Middle East. Back several years ago, 2017, 2018, we really were able to capture some significant market share to the tune of 70 to 80% market share or better, and took it away from 3M. As we transitioned our distribution relationships in that market, 3M was able to grab back some of that market share, and we now have a really strong partner, and we can see that we are continuing to take back the business that we had competed for in the past, and we're seeing that growing back now. And over time, I expect that to be a good growth market for us. We've launched a new product. We have new products in the pipeline that we can bring into market to help further expand and open up additional revenue opportunities for us as a company. And finally, as I mentioned, manufacturing. Our ability to scale our manufacturing based on our patented manufacturing approach allows us to create an opportunity where we can, improve our margins over time. We also have a really strong portfolio of antimicrobial silicone dressings, and again, we are the only ones in the market with this, which I think is the technology is a really interesting technology. To put it in perspective, in wound care, there's two kinds of adhesives. There's acrylic adhesive and there's silicone adhesive. And in the wound care space, the market has shifted to be about 80% silicone adhesive being used. That has not been the same in vascular access and surgical. They still use a lot of acrylic adhesive, and that's 3M's platform. And that's one of the big reasons why that shift hasn't taken place in this space. And we see an opportunity to have that shift move over, and we are the only ones in the market with an antimicrobial silicone adhesive technology. Right now, with our IV Clear product and a product that we just launched during COVID, which is called ValGuard, we have about 200 plus IV Clear customers, and we've got at least 8 of the top 10 children's hospitals in North America using our products. We have a dominant market share in the Middle East for IV Clear, and both of these products are the only products I'm aware of on the market that do what they do, whether it's IV Clear or ValGuard, which I think puts us in a very good position. These products are solving real clinical issues with patients. When I look at the market for antimicrobial silicone products, our whole competitive approach is that our products are safer and better for patients, and that's been shown over and over and over again in the feedback that I get, personal notes coming to me from patients and their families, and also through feedback from clinicians at how competitively strong our products are. But again, we're going against some very large players, 3M and Medline on the IV dressing side, and 3M and Convatec in the surgical dressing market. Those are big markets and big opportunities. We have a really strong portfolio. We compete in the U.S. market. We have a great starting point for our IV dressings and our surgical dressings. They really, as I said, are well received by clinicians. The challenge we have, obviously, is like all small companies in displacing the big players, the incumbents, from the facilities in which they have established contracts. We've demonstrated we can do that internationally. We've demonstrated we can do that in some reference and leading teaching hospitals in the U.S. And I think we're now positioned to be able to continue that growth with our team in the United States as we look at the opportunity for us to grab some serious market share. And if I were to put a target on it, I'd say over the medium term, we should be able to grab 10 to 20% market share with our products. But it's a lot of work. And I think we have the resources now to really execute on that. When I look at what do our products do, on the left-hand side, one of the big advantages is they don't cause other issues, damage, while they're protecting patients because of the antimicrobials from infection, whereas 3M's adhesive is notorious for that. And so the patients on the right-hand side are some of the most vulnerable patients. You can see all the lines that are in them. It's very typical for an ICU patient. And our IV dressing and our surgical dressings have lots of applicability on these patients. I could probably count about 5 or 6 dressing opportunities per patient that are shown on the slide. From a surgical perspective, again, these are all a hospital that did a bit of a campaign to talk about the experiences of the kids in the pediatric ICU, and every single one of these patients, this was a social media blast that went out, are wearing Covalon's dressing to help them. They all had cardiac surgery, they had open heart surgery, and our dressings have been used to help prevent infection. And believe me, in these kinds of patients who have open heart surgery, an infection is devastating. Another part of our business that probably doesn't get as much airtime as the dressings is our medical device coating platform, which is quite unique. We have a lot of value propositions for medical device companies. They come to us with an existing product, and they ask us to turn those into antimicrobial products so they can launch an upgraded premium line in the market to compete and help not only prevent infection, but also help to compete against others who do not have an antimicrobial version of their catheter or their device that goes into a patient. And I won't bore you with all the technical details, but our technology has some serious advantages compared to the competition. We do have the opportunity to capture and grow this business significantly. Routinely during a year, we would work with maybe 20 different organizations on up to 50 projects. Not all of those move forward all the way through the development process. Some of them are pilot projects, and for whatever reasons, perhaps they don't get funded within those organizations, that they don't go forward, but it only takes a couple of them to really move our needle. We have, in 2018, we announced a very large arrangement with a large medical company that paid us $3.5 million up front, signed up to do development for a portfolio of products. We've worked on those for since 2018. They've spent about $10 million with us, and we're landing the plane as metaphorically on getting those products to the point where they can go through the FDA process and hit the market. Once they do, that's when Covalon starts to enjoy manufacturing revenues, additional license fees, and continuous royalties as those products are sold into the market for years and years to come. So very interesting part of our business that has a lot of upside and again is still in the infancy. At the core of Covalon, we've got a really strong R&D capabilities. We've got partners, either distribution or big medical companies we work with that are household names. We've got award-winning products, and we've got a really talented team that can get our technology and our products through the pathways of the FDA, whether it's in the United States, Canada, internationally. And that positions us very well in order to continue to exploit our really deep intellectual property to grow our business. So again, we're well funded. We've got cash, got deep intellectual property. We've got products that solve real clinical problems that the competition, quite frankly, cannot do. And the markets we're in are huge. So with that, I'm going to open the line up for questions. And I see I've got a couple here. The first question is, where do you see the company 2 to 3 years from now? Well, good question. you know, we're going to continue on the path to build our U.S. business, where I see a lot of upside opportunity. We're going to continue to compete in the Middle East, and you know, we now have the resources. We have the fuel in the tank. We have, I think, you know, a strong organization that I think we can make stronger as we invest in more sales and marketing resources to help drive our products into the U.S. market. And I see us being in a position opportunistically to look at inorganic ways to grow as well. We've demonstrated we could do that with the AquaGuard product. We acquired it, the business. We grew it. We retained the parts of that business that we wanted, that were core for us to grow going forward. We sold the product line for 3 times what we paid for it. So I think we've demonstrated we can grow inorganically effectively, and I see that as a potential opportunity for us going forward as well. The next question is, I've heard of a glue type of surgical closure rather than stitches. This approach does not require dressings as I understand it. Is that a risk for Covalon? Really good, insightful question. One of the big enemies of a lot of the glues is moisture. And so the part of the purpose of our surgical dressing and going on a surgical incision is to keep the incision site, whether it's glued, sutured, or stapled, doesn't matter. Keep it in a low microbial count of bacteria, so help suppress any bacterial regrowth. And the other benefit is it actually helps, the dressing helps stabilize the integrity of the skin and the surgical site, so that that as the patient moves and flexes, particularly think of a patient that has a knee or hip replacement, they're supposed to get up and moving. It's part of the recovery process. And so having a flexible dressing that provides a little bit of stability to that site can help it from the glue from opening up, which does happen sometimes. So no, it's in fact our dressing with the glue is actually a very strong combination. So I think that's an opportunity for us to actually participate wherever an incision might be glued. The next question is, what is your plan for the $24 million in cash? So we obviously don't being profitable, being you know, we're not burning cash at the moment. We've got lots of cash on the balance sheet. We're going to invest some of it into sales and marketing to build our business in the United States. And then I think, you know, we're in a position where as a board and as an organization, you know, we're going to carefully consider opportunities to grow the business and add value to the business, and that may include inorganic activities such as looking at acquisitions. But there's no mandate that's been put forward to do that in a directed manner so far. But I do see an opportunity for us now with the resources to take advantage of growth, you know, opportunistic growth opportunities that come along. So I think, you know, for now we'll just enjoy the fact that we have a really strong balance sheet. Another question that is, if your products are superior, why doesn't 3M or Medline buy Covalon? Well, during the strategic process that we ran, that we started in October 2020 and resulted in the sale of the AquaGuard product, we have an awful lot of interest from strategic medical companies in our space. And there is a lot of interest in our products and our product technologies. I do see the opportunity for us to engage at that with those organizations as our business grows. But quite honestly, they're looking for organizations that can move their needle and we need to put a little bit more work into growing the business, and I think that is a definite opportunity. We appear to be at time, so I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today, and I really look forward to speaking with you on any of the one-on-ones or after this conference is completed. Thanks very much.